You see the same job openings over and over and over and over again. And like, fam, are y'all hiring somebody or not? But sometimes a lot of companies want you to, depending on your level, they want you to hit the ground running. So they may not even have time to, they would like to show you the skills, but they don't have the ability or the bandwidth to train you. And that's why a lot of times they're looking for somebody who's already did exactly what they're trying to hire for. There may come a time where people get paid if they're interviewing based on the role. Now, I know you can say that's crazy, but you got to think about it. Sometimes you have to do assessments, which could possibly, some people see as like unpaid work. It could be weeks and weeks out at a time. You're moving stuff around. You're getting somebody to watch the kids. You got to go fly out and interview somewhere. It's a lot to where you can feel like, hey, I almost worked as much as I was actually doing a job for free. And now they got information out of me and they didn't feel like they were going to feel the job anyway. Now they got all this data that they can use in the future. And I didn't get nothing out of it, but they did. Yo, what's good, everybody? It's been a minute. Welcome back to another episode of the TechTual Talk podcast. I'm your host, HD, and I'm coming to you dolo. But Cybersecurity will be back very soon. As you can see, got a different background right here. I'm definitely adding to a new recording space, so it's going to look better and better. So y'all just keep your eyes peeled. But I wanted to talk to y'all. It's been a minute. Found some good articles, found some good TikToks. But if you're currently still on the video right now, you already know what to do, bro. Just hit the like button. Thumbs up is right there. And there is a new feature on YouTube now that you can also help my videos out. They don't cost you anything. And it's the hype feature. So if you're watching it right now, I know it does it on mobile. I don't know about desktop. But if you see the hype feature, hype my video up. Hype me up. Hype me up. Oh, man. But nah, man, it's Sunday. I know people are watching football right now. My Broncos, I believe, play tomorrow. We're going to bounce back and get the dub against the Bengals. They lost a couple of, 2 weeks in a row by field goal. So that lets you know if you're losing by single digits that you are a good team. You just got to finish the show. You can't lose. You got to win the game. And I think they've been more so losing the game versus the other teams actually beating them. They've been beating themselves. But, needless to say, it is what it is. Now, first thing what I want to start off about is I want to give my job seekers still like a little bit of advice. You guys still schedule calls with me, and I still see the same things. I still see bad resumes. I still see underutilized LinkedIns. And also, a lot of you guys who are trying to either go up in your career or pivot, you're not building enough. And I think you also aren't talking to the right people to help you figure out what you need to build. And it can be simple. Find the people in the roles that you want to do and just try to build a relationship with them and then ask them what you should learn. Now, this is not a overnight success type of thing. It's not easy. Even when I have clients, I tell them, hey, I can't promise you a job. This thing has its ebbs and flows. Sometimes you can do everything right and the company still drops the ball on you. So I would just say that keep the faith. Definitely got to get your resumes and LinkedIn up to par. So if you're ready for that, I got a new service for y'all. I dropped it last week. It's I think I put it in a YouTube post, but I'm going to put a link right here or I don't know, like a lower third, but click down there if you want to do that package. And it's really more so for people who are already in IT or cyber pros, but cannot land interviews or anything. It's for you. Because a lot of you guys only need some simple tweaks and then you'll start getting screened and you'll start being interviewed and then it goes from there. And then it also comes with like networking scripts and interview questions. And what do you mean interview questions? A lot of people don't know how to prep for interviews. Preparation is like one of the biggest things that's holding a lot of people back when it comes to performing well in an interview. So I have questions that you can ask that pretty much if you went on a date, you wouldn't just want to talk all the time or the person to not ask you anything, right? So it's the same thing in an interview. Ask good questions, but also you want to ask questions about stuff that will be tied into what you do and what that person may care about that you're interviewing about. And that's the key. And so I show you that, and who knows, I may even throw in a free coaching video on how I prepare for interviews. So I may do that as well. So just keep your eyes peeled. Today's video is sponsored by Aura. Aura monitors your personal data, including your social security number, across billions of data points like the dark web and public court records to detect and alert you to potential identity theft. They give you up to $5 million in identity theft insurance should the worst case scenario happen. They also provide a bunch of other features to keep you safe online, all inside one app. You can go to my link right now, aura.com/textual chatter, to try 14 days for free. That'll be enough time for Aura to find out if any of your personal data is exposed. I highly recommend you do this right now because not only is the national public data not going to do anything to help you, they probably aren't even going to face any repercussions for this leak. I'm not leaving myself and my family vulnerable to data breaches. If you don't want either, you can go to aura.com/textual chatter to try 2 weeks for free. Now back to the video. And the last thing I actually wanted to bring up real quick when it was regarding just like quick messages, and then I'll get into some articles, is background checks. A lot of people come to me and they're worried about the background checks. And listen, employers only check what you put on their resume. So those are the only places they're going to try to background check. And they're not background checking what job you did there. They just want to know if you worked there. So do not be alarmed by that. As long as you can talk to your bullet points and you can go into depth with them and you have your stories, you should be fine. I promise you. This is not something for a top secret clearance or some of these financial institutions that go a little bit deeper in a background check. Now, that's slightly different, but still more or less the same. They're only checking what you put on the resume. Now, speaking of us talking about job seekers, I found an article earlier, and it was entitled, I believe it says, Job Searching Feels Rigged. Let's see. Now, this article was written by Black Enterprises on newsbreak.com. Job seekers say hiring feels rigged, and employees agree. The report, let me get to it, Mike. The report based responses from more than 2,000 people, including 1,015 job seekers and 1,009 hiring managers across the United States, captures the strategies both sides bring to the hiring process. In today's job market, pursuing the next step can feel less like finding the right fit and growing your career and more like rolling the dice or playing poker. Candidates bluff with polished resumes, employers test the market with jobs they may not fill, and both sides keep cards close to the vest. A new survey from Kelly reveals how much hiring plays out this way. I agree. I think that's exactly how it feels. Like you're kind of reserved when you're interviewing with the company, and that's how they're doing against you. And it's the cycle, like who's going to give first. I've seen it firsthand. I've been a part of it, and it's definitely draining. I can say that for sure. Candidates apply for roles where they fall short of listed qualifications, while managers post jobs they never intend to fill. Both sides are using new tools, including artificial intelligence, to play the hiring game. The result is a process that often feels less about transparency and more about unspoken rules and hidden dynamics. Now, this is a big one. As you guys know, there's the things that's going on with Workday and AI and lawsuits, and you also have the future employee, the applicant, they are using all these different AI tools for their resumes. And like I said, one of the big things is if you do not have at least the minimum qualifications, I mean, if you want to apply, but a lot of times that may just get you, let's do it again. And if you don't have the minimum qualifications, then that might just go ahead and get you out of there. Why? Because companies, this is something that we talked about in one of my past interviews with a recruiter, and saying how they were taught to go after the people that have the qualifications because they don't want to hire a person who had less qualifications than another applicant and then get sued for that because they didn't hire what they stated. Also, sometimes qualifications are not in skills. Sometimes it could be based on preference or location. I've referred to people a couple of weeks ago, and they were denied by recruiters or HR because they didn't stay close enough to a hub. Now, I won't go into all the specific details. That may be like a Patreon or a members only video, but they were denied simply because they weren't next to a hub. So sometimes it's not nothing that you did. And the fact that it said they post jobs that they don't intend to fill is also true. You see the same job openings over and over and over and over again. And like, fam, are y'all hiring somebody or not? What's going on with y'all budget? I'll actually, once we get to the end, I will talk about some questions you could possibly ask a recruiter to probably get the answer for you so you don't have to waste your time. Where job seekers and managers agree on AI and more. Despite frequent miscommunication, the survey found job seekers and hiring managers agree on some parts of the process. One of those areas is timing. Just over half of the candidates and managers say 3 days is the right amount of time to decide on a job offer, long enough to review details, discuss with family, or weigh other options, but quick enough to show genuine interest. Another point of agreement is on artificial intelligence. 63% of job seekers say it is ethical to use AI to improve resumes or applications, and 67% of hiring managers agree. Many of those same managers also use AI detection tools to screen applications, which is funny because you don't want somebody to use AI, but yet you're using AI to screen for it. Jobs where applicants do not meet every listed qualification, known as stretch applications, are another example of shared understanding. Nearly all job seekers, 96%, say they apply for these jobs anyway. And 3 out of 4 hiring managers say that this is acceptable. Job requirements are viewed less as deal breakers and more as wish lists. More than a third of candidates who apply this way say they can quickly learn the missing skills once hired. Now, most of us believe that, and I agree, but sometimes a lot of companies want you to, depending on your level, they want you to hit the ground running. So they may not even have time to, they would like to show you the skills, but they don't have the ability or the bandwidth to train you. And that's why a lot of times they're looking for somebody who's already did exactly what they're trying to hire for. Now, what phantom jobs reveal? This survey also shows why job seekers often feel misled. Many candidates describe spending hours applying for roles and moving through interview rounds only to learn the position was never meant to be filled. Survey data confirms this is common. 84% of job seekers say they believe phantom postings are common among hiring managers. 81% admit they have posted jobs, conducted interviews, and then decided to leave positions unfilled. Nearly 1 in 3 say they use the tactic frequently. The top reason companies do this are building a pipeline for future roles and gathering industry insights. This is also true. I think this is a crime. There may come a time where people get paid if they're interviewing based on the role. Now, I know you can say that's crazy, but you got to think about it. Sometimes you have to do assessments, which could possibly, some people see as like unpaid work. It could be weeks and weeks out at a time. You're moving stuff around. You're getting somebody to watch the kids. You got to go fly out and interview somewhere. It's a lot to where you can feel like, hey, I almost worked as much as I was actually doing a job for free. And now they got information out of me and they didn't feel like they were going to feel the job anyway. Now they got all this data that they can use in the future. And I didn't get nothing out of it, but they did. And here's another one where pay ranges are missing. The survey shows salary disclosure continues to be a sticking point in hiring. Most job seekers, 68%, say they want salary information posted in the job descriptions. Less than half of hiring managers say their companies provide this information in the job description from the start. This is a big one. Listen, just post a salary, post a range. I shouldn't have to ask you. Just tell me. And also tell me what it is for where I stay, because sometimes the range is something stupid like 100,000 through 1 million, and they know for a fact you're not getting paid that. It's ridiculous. For candidates, missing or unreliable information can mean wasted time if an offer ends up far below expectations. For employers, holding back details may attract more applicants at first, but risk losing them later in the process. Even when pay ranges are listed, skepticism remains. Only 37% of men say they fully believe the numbers, compared with 27% of women. Younger workers are more likely to trust them, with 40% of Gen Z saying they believe the ranges, compared with 33% of millennials and 30% of Gen X. And the last part I'm going to read on this is saying, when remote work is oversold, the few issues generate more attention than remote work. More than half of hiring managers admit that they have made work from home policies sound more flexible than they are. Candidates notice the difference. 66% say the reality did not match what was advertised. Some recall jobs labeled remote that still require office attendance. Others claim company policies were unclear or changed. Managers give several reasons. 47% of managers who admit to misrepresenting remote work availability say that they wanted to present the company favorably. 48% believe candidates will accept stricter conditions once hired, and 43% are trying to attract top talent. For job seekers, the result is confusion and disappointment. For employers, it is a risk that employees will disengage or leave quickly once the reality becomes clear. Yeah, I'm not going to read the rest of that, but That is true. That's the bait and switch. You come when it's remote, and 3 months later, hey, we need y'all back in the office. And not only like 1 or 2 days, we need y'all 3 days. It's tough because a lot of times if you got a family, you just gotta say bump it. I gotta do what I gotta do. But some people, if you have the leverage, you'll say, okay, I'll go get another job. Because you'll end up going to the office to have the same calls you was having at home with people that's not even the current office you're going to work at. Now, to switch gears, to have a little fun, instead of trying to put every video at the end, there is a TikTok of a young man, and I didn't watch all of it really. I just said the beginning, and he was talking about, he put in his resignation. Now, I don't know what happened, but I just know he talked about his resignation. So we're going to react to it. I think it's like 3 minutes, so I may try to stop in between, but let's check it out.
One thing that I've learned about my time in corporate after getting walked out of a building from turning in my resignation is that a company is going to do what's best for them. What's going on, TikTok? Control Alzara here, coming at you guys with another video. And if you guys are new to my page, what I do is document my journey of trying to break into cybersecurity. I recently started as a SOC analyst, and now I'm looking to help you guys do the same. So if you aren't following me already, feel free to hit that button and let's break into tech together. With that being said, I also want to thank all of you guys for the immense support, because that video, mind you, I took this screenshot a couple of days, is probably at, I believe, 800K now, and we're almost at 4.5K followers. So I want to thank you guys for all of the support and all of the congratulations that you guys have given me on receiving my official role. With that being said, let's get into the update. So to start off, as you guys know, back in July, I started as an IT system technician, and the role was great. It was paying really good, and it was a great opportunity, to get experience hands-on. But following that, at the end of July, I was approached by a company that I had been interviewing with, and they had offered me the opportunity to become a SOC analyst with them. Now, it was a pay cut, and, it was a risk as well, because I was looking at a whole different life. Had I accepted the offer, I was given relocation, or had I continued with the sys tech job, I was supposed to move to Detroit. It was going to be a lot of change, but I decided that despite the pay cut, that it's worth the risk. I was being given the opportunity to break into the same tech space that was the exact reason for me starting this page. So I did it, and on the day that I had turned in my resignation, they decided that that was going to be my last day. Now, I'm not saying it to start drama or anything, but I specifically want to say to anybody that's trying to break into tech and that is open to relocation, if you're open to relocation, watch how you spend that money, because if you don't go based on what the contract says, you're going to have to pay it back. And now I'm sitting here and got to pay back over 4K. So I learned my lesson.
That is facts. And not only on relocation, this also comes with sign-ons. A lot of times, now I don't know what his terms was for that, but like for a sign-on, you'll have to be at the company at least 1 year so you won't have to pay it back. Now, in his case, I can understand it. He probably didn't think he was going to get the security job, so he was like, hey, why not? I would just say use it on what you need it for, and then keep the rest until you made your terms on if you're going to leave or not.
But I just wanted to make it clear to you guys as well, because I know that, relocation assistance sounds great and all, but these companies expect you to stay there for 12 months. Some companies even more, and the same thing goes for tuition reimbursement. So I'm glad to have learned that lesson sooner than later. Aside from that, with WGU, things have been going well. I'm wrapping up my term pretty soon. I have the core 1 and core 2 to take. I take the core 1 tonight, and then I am planning on scheduling as soon as possible the core 2, because I just had watched everything and went crazy with the practice test. But that's the update. Work has been going well. I'm still waiting to get my laptop, if I'm being honest, but I've been learning a lot, and I'm really just grateful for the remote work. It's definitely been different, and it helps in the other things that I have to focus on in life. Like, for example, if you guys don't know, I'm a producer, so working with other producers and like planning on, for example, going out to ATL later this month, like that has become more of an accessible thing and a convenient thing now that I work remote, so I don't have to be tied down to a location. But aside from that, I'm going to make a video literally right after this one. Like, I'm probably going to do a triple upload today, but I just want to talk more about my personal goals now that I've broke into tech, because, again, the whole purpose of me, making this.
Okay, so that's that on that. It sort of got, talking about other stuff towards the end. Now, one of the things that I title right here is saying, should you put in a 2 weeks notice? Yes and no. It really depends, and it's tricky because you could do everything right by putting your 2 week notice just for that to be like literally 30 minutes after that, hey, all your access is gone, and you know what, you're not working. And sometimes some companies not gonna pay you for 2 weeks. That's gonna be the last day you get paid. Or you could have did the right way, work your 2 weeks out, and then something happened with the new job, you accept it. I've seen this happen before where, hey, something happened and they had to put the role on hold. So you don't start the job. So my advice to people is put your 2 weeks in once you get your equipment and know you're starting. Because if you do it before that, you run the risk of possibly not starting and then now being out of 2 jobs and having to do that whole cycle. It's just a different time. So I would say wait till you get equipment, wait till your first day, do whatever you can. I mean, even if you can do it like past 90 days just to be safe on the safe side, that way you know, okay, the job ain't going nowhere. Okay, let me go ahead and quit. Like, do whatever you got to do because the company, they're going to do what's in their best interest. You do what's in your best interest. Now, here's some fun news. Electronic Arts will be acquired for $50 billion. The video game company Electronic Arts is nearing a $50 billion sale to a group of investors, including Silver Lake and Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, according to a report from the Wall Street Journal. EA is best known, of course, for Madden. Then you got FIFA, NBA Live, Star Wars, Need for Speed, Sims, all those games. According to the Journal report, this deal could be the largest leveraged buyout in history, meaning that the deal is mostly funded with debt. After the news broke that EA could be going private, stocks jumped 15% on Friday afternoon. Now, it's interesting. This always happens because I forgot what other case we covered to where somebody announced a possible buyout and stocks jump. So that's pretty interesting. $50 billion for EA. I think that's a lot of money, but I mean, there's a lot of good franchises in there. But FIFA, I don't play FIFA. I used to play Madden, but I don't really play it like I used to anymore. But EA does have some good game titles, and that's really not all. So I think they got Battlefield, and they said Need for Speed, The Sims. Of course, I like the Star Wars games, but there's some other stuff. But I think that's just crazy. I really do want to know after this sale what'll happen with like when 2K, like we know 2K got basketball. Can 2K come back with their football franchise to challenge Madden and make Madden get better? That's what I'm here for. So if they can do that, I'm with it. Now, here's a cool one. We always talk about working in a SOC analyst. You know, that's me. I'm doing it for years. I love talking about it. I love talking to people that's interested in it and people that's currently in it because you should be talking to people that do the same job as you. Okay, now let's talk about SOC analysts. Right here is an article from this guy, Wesley Thompson. He's a SOC manager, and he had a post about last week. It says, new grads entering the SOC. We need to talk. If you think being a SOC analyst means spending your days in Wireshark doing packet captures, I've got bad news. That's not the job. Expectation. You're doing movie hacker work, deep forensics, malware reversals, network wizardry. Reality, you're triaging endless alerts, providing real recommendations, and communicating risk to people who don't care about TCP flags or DNS anomalies. And that's the hard part. The analysts who thrive aren't the ones who memorize every Wireshark filter. They're the ones who can take a vague, messy alert and add context, connect it to business impact, explain it clearly to leadership, make a recommendation that actually gets implemented. That's soft skills. That's judgment. That's real security. Here's the slightly uncomfortable truth. School was only the beginning. You just finished the tutorial level. If you stop learning now, you'll be obsolete in this industry before you even start. Cybersecurity doesn't reward people who stay stagnant. It rewards curiosity, adaptability, and continuous growth. So if you're just graduating, remember this. The SOC isn't where learning stops. It's where learning really begins. Now, I'm just looking through some comments because I agree with that, and I'll give some other spills on it. So what I'm noticing from these top commenters is like, okay, so this person works in, let's see, I just want to see what they do. So the people I'm seeing that are having some pushback, they aren't even working in the SOC because they're harping in on, hey, you don't know every Wireshark filter. And let me give you a secret. A lot of us have Wiresharks in our environment, but we have the tools that already give us the packet capture from the firewall. So a lot of times we aren't using it as much anyway. Now, if you do have to open it and sniff out data to see where everything is going, by all means, yeah. But he's right. Like working in a SOC most of the time, especially if you're just working pure SOC, you're going to be doing more stuff in the SIM to where you don't even have time to do some of that stuff. That's going to be on your IR people. That's going to have the time to actually triage that way. Yeah, I'm noticing a trend. If I was to show y'all this, like a lot of these people, when like look at me now, these people have never worked in the SOC and they have a lot to say. And they don't understand that this was about at new grads. some stuff that school doesn't teach you. It teaches you theory in a sense, but it doesn't teach you how to put that theory into practice. What he's talking about is putting it into practice. A lot of soft skills are actually needed in the SOC when you have to reach out to a head of a department about, hey, this is why you guys need to change this. Hey, this is what we see. We can work with you on figuring out a better policy to work out, or hey, if we don't want to bother you too much, we can work on a better detection for this. That way we're not bothering you all the time. There's some little small things that go into being a good SOC analyst, and it's a little controversial, but the best SOC analysts are not the most technical ones. A lot of the technical people are good, but sometimes they don't have the soft skills to tackle and solve problems. The people that can go in and solve the real problems, they tend to be the best ones because they have enough technical experience, and they also can speak in terms to business processes and risks, like he said, and that could take them further in the company where they can actually start making more important decisions, where they actually know how to talk to a client or a customer or different orgs within the company. And that stands out the most with your manager, with a director, with the C-level person. And that's what you actually need to listen to, because as time goes on, some of that tedious level 1 stuff, the companies that use a lot of AI, they will pretty much be able to benefit from using that to kind of pretty much only have maybe tier 2, tier 3 stuff. So the people who are scared to talk and are doing just the regular tier 1 stuff, they may find themselves obsolete. So you have to be visible and you have to make some noise so people know who you are. And since I was talking about AI automating a lot of those level 1 tasks, let's talk about something else that you got to be worried about when it comes to AI. Beware coworkers who produce AI generated work slop. I'm sorry. Let me enunciate. So researchers at consulting firm BetterUp Labs in collaboration with Stanford Social Media Lab have coined a new term to describe low quality AI generated work slop. As defined in an article, work slop is AI generated work content that masquerades as good work but lacks the substance to meaningfully advance a given task. BetterUp Labs researchers suggest that work slop could be one explanation for 95% of organizations that have tried AI but report seeing zero return on their investment. Work slop, they write, can be unhelpful, incomplete, or missing crucial context, which just creates more work for everyone else. The insidious effect of work slop is that it shifts the burden of work downstream, requiring the receiver to interpret, correct, or redo the work they write. The researchers are conducting an ongoing survey of 1,100 full-time U.S.-based employees, with 40% of respondents saying they'd received work slop in the past month. To avoid this, the researchers say workplace leaders must model thoughtful AI use that has purpose and intention and set clear guardrails for your teams and around norms and acceptable use. This is going to be more prevalent. People are not going to do their work. They're going to say, hey, Copilot, hey, Gemini, hey, ChatGPT, hey, Claude, I was just given a task to list out XYZ. Please do this, and they're going to prompt it and turn it in like it was done. So now it's taking away people actually doing the work because they want to be lazy about it. And they actually end up doing more work because they didn't do the work right in the first place. AI should enhance what you're doing, not replace it. So you should have the knowledge to do the task and then use AI to enhance communicating whatever you did, so it can be easier for everybody else to interpret and understand. That's what I believe. But people take so many shortcuts. A lot of people don't know what they're doing. AI slop, combine that with people using AI to interview, combine that with people that are interviewing for other people. It's a mess. And this is what we're going to continue to see happen. So put your seatbelts on, man. We're going on for a good ride. And while we're on the AI train, I wanted to talk about another article I saw. Came from TechCrunch, but Wiz chief technologist Amy Lutwak on how AI is transforming cyber attacks. One of the key things to understand about cybersecurity is that it's a mind game. If there's a new technology wave coming, there are new opportunities for attackers to start using it. As enterprises rush to embed AI into their workflows, whether through vibe coding, AI agent integration, or new tooling, the attack surface is expanding. AI helps developers ship code faster, but that speed often comes with shortcuts and mistakes, creating new openings for attackers. And I agree. The stuff with AI reminds me of what I kind of see out here in Texas. Anybody who stay out here, specifically like in the North Texas area, Frisco, Prosper, Solana, Aubrey, all that, y'all can relate. You'll be driving past a vacant lot, and then next week you'll see 30 houses on it. Now, a lot of people believe because the house is built so fast that they're good houses, but we know that speed does not always mean something was done right and corners have been cut. AI is doing the same thing, which is going to be scary because people are going to start trying to scale full-fledged companies and infrastructure based off AI, and they're going to be neglecting critical things that's going to backfire on them in the long run, where they're going to eventually have to do stuff the old-fashioned way and just make sure it's done right, which is what they could have did from the beginning. Let's continue. Wiz, which was acquired by Google earlier this year for $32 billion, conducted tests recently saying walk and found out a common issue in vibe-coded applications was insecure implementation of the authentication, the system that verifies a user identity and assures that they're not an attacker. That happened because it was just easier to build like that. He said, vibe coding agents do what you say, and if you didn't tell them to build it in the most secure way, it won't. And we know most of the time from developers and software engineers and everything else, security is like the last thing that they're ever thinking about. So couple that with doing it with AI, and now they're building stuff and they're not thinking about security, you got a problem on your hands. Ludwig noted that there's a constant trade-off today for companies choosing between being fast and being secure, but developers aren't the only ones using AI to move faster. Attackers are. You can actually see attackers are using prompts to attack. It's not just the attacker vibe coding. The attacker looks for AI tools that you have and tells them, send me all your secrets, delete the machine, delete the file. Amid this landscape, attackers are also finding entry points in new AI tools that companies roll out internally to boost efficiency. Ludwig says these integrations can lead to supply chain attacks by compromising a third-party service that has broad access to a company's infrastructure. Attackers can then pivot deeper into corporate systems. As technology advances, so do threats. That's what happened last month when Drift, a startup that sells AI chatbots for sales and marketing, was breached. Like Cloudflare, Palo Alto Networks, and Google, the attackers gained access to tokens or digital keys and used them to impersonate the chatbot, create Salesforce data, and move laterally inside customers' environments. The attacker pushed the attack code, which was also created by vibe coding. Ludwig said that while enterprise adoption of AI tools is still minimal, he reckons around 1% of enterprises have fully adopted AI. Wiz is already seeing attackers every week that impact thousands of enterprise customers. And if you look at the attack flow, AI was embedded at every step. Ludwig said, this revolution is faster than any revolution we've seen in the past. It means that we as an industry need to move faster. So I'm just going to cut it off right there. I think that's a brilliant use case of why AI governance is going to make a rise and why it's going to be needed, and why, if you're in security right now, definitely reading up on AI governance and what you can do. And they got these companies out here that are built around that, and it's going to be needed because, like I said, everybody wants to build things faster with AI, but not understanding, okay, how was they able to use a prompt to pretty much take over the AI chatbot and impersonate people and trick them. That's pretty cool. That might be a Darknet Diaries episode. And it may be just something we actually look into a little bit deeper now. That I think it's been, 3-4 weeks, a month now with that Salesforce drift stuff. And it's chaotic for a lot of people. I just tell you that. Working IR, everybody probably was busy with third-party breaches with the drift situation. Now, here's another TikTok I wanted to get to. I was going to tackle like the H-1B stuff, but I leave that for another episode because I want to dive deep into it, and I want to actually have researched it to the best of my ability and have a really compelling argument about it on both sides and just try to make sense of it. But here it is right here.
It's not the H-1Bs that are displacing jobs. It's the offshoring and nearshoring. All these corporations, it's not like they're hiring H-1Bs and that's it. No, they're hiring H-1Bs and that's great. And they're getting some good skilled workers, but they're offshoring all of the computer science skill sets. No one's talking about the fact that $125 billion, and it's probably more than that, is going to these offshore centers, whether they're captive, meaning owned by an American company, or whether they're third party. Now, take $125 billion, right, and divide that by the average salary of an American worker. And let's just say in this case, like 125,000. That's 1 million jobs. 1 million. No one's talking about that. So all these kids coming out and graduating comp sci, when they can't get a job, that's the issue. That's our middle class. That's eroding it. And no one's talking about it. That's all based about this H-1B thing.
I could not agree with him more. And this goes past even computer science. We got this when it comes to technical support, anything that you have to do with talking to somebody, they're not in the U.S. And then you get into, of course, a lot of these companies, they want to follow the sun. So you offshoring all these things, or you have these people doing their night working our day shift. And I can tell you, it's hit or miss. Some of them are good and some of them are not good. And it's just cheap. So they're making record profits and not paying for the workers. And now you have people like the constant argument about the H-1B stuff that I see online is that, hey, the America don't have enough skilled workers to do this or that. And I say that's baloney. I see so many people on LinkedIn daily that can't find a job. Those people want to work. They went to school, they've been labbing, they take boot camps. They are trying to get a job. So don't tell me that we don't have the skilled workers. They don't want to pay everything. That's what it boils down to. They don't want to pay. That's why with the H-1B stuff, I know I said I wasn't going to touch it, but we know for a fact they would bring these people over and pay them less versus paying a competent American what they should be getting paid to actually have a decent quality of life. That's the whole issue. So I do see a lot of I feel like that's going to happen too. I haven't been keeping up a lot with these policies and stuff that the current president is making, but I know that's something that he's definitely kind of talked about in the past of like, okay, cool, that's fine. But now some of these jobs, we need them to stay over here because, hey, let's face it. You have record highs of like grocery inflation with housing and all these different costs. Nobody's working. Everything's going to just implode. That's the whole deal of it. And if you can rank in some of that in, the company still can make their profits. It may not be as much because payroll is probably the biggest expense. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you can't enjoy it where you stay, then what's the point of it? So speaking of the money thing, there was another article that I saw on LinkedIn and it was talking about the cost of the American dream. And it was written like 2 days ago, but it says, the cost of achieving the American dream is skyrocketing, according to Investopedia. A recent analysis by the financial platform determined 8 goals Americans desire most and tabulated their lifetime costs. Using government data and industry research, aspirations include owning a home and raising 2 kids and sending them to college. The final price tag, $5,043,323 is a large leap from $4.4 million last year. Adding strain are high mortgage rates, rising tuition fees, and the rate of inflation. Things I just talked about. Let's see, Matt Egan. The American dream feels increasingly expensive and elusive for too many. Citing government data and other research, Investopedia and Caleb Silver estimate it costs more than $5 million to live the American dream. Their price tag includes retirement, home ownership, the cost of raising 2 kids and sending them to college, owning a car, and other expenses. But the median lifetime earnings of an individual American with a bachelor's degree is only $2.8 million. And that's crazy. And there's another video that I saw where this guy was talking about Social Security. As you know, most people who work here, no matter what happens when we get paid, we put money into our Social Security. And the guy was saying, hey, by the time a lot of us get to that age, Social Security is not going to be here because the government has not done right with the money. And he was saying how they be better off by just investing the money over the 40 years they've been working and they be millionaires. Ain't that crazy? That's crazy. It's crazy how you could do something, it's not crazy, but you could do better with your own money than the government can. So I would love to see in my lifetime what actually is going to happen to Social Security. They're going to say, hey, man, you just pull your stuff out and you can roll it over into a Roth IRA or something. That would be lovely because I put too much money in there. And you got to think about, I think what they said, the average 65-year-old is going to like get $2,000, $3,000. Now we know based on how stuff is now, if these people don't own their own house or this other stuff, they will barely be able to survive. And that's the scary thing. There need to be incentives for people who work their whole life. And now, I mean, granted, you have these senior living spaces, but it's not enough. They need max discounts on a lot of stuff. Let them enjoy their last years. That's what I agree with. And let's see. So these are a lot of just different links that they put together. So I'm going to read one more and then we're going to go in a different direction. Realistically, how many of us are earning $5 million over our lifetime? How do you accomplish that? Boomers have a decision to make. Do they spend all their money or do they start planning for a legacy for children, grandchildren, and generational wealth? Remember, whether it's 5K, 50K, 500K, or 5 million, that's a start for future generations. Must begin with the first step. Less than 5% of the population will earn that type of money. Everyone has their own likes and dislikes and will make their own decision. Personally, I have decided to plan for my son's future and my grandchildren. My son and I will be working together to achieve this goal. Parents, I suggest you communicate with your children. If you decide to have great remaining time, then go for it. There's no right or wrong answer. Yeah, you definitely have to prepare. I think a lot of us don't think about the end game, and that's what causes us trouble. Now, I know, like I said, we talked about some tech stuff and a little bit of some security stuff, but this is one article I came across a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't get a chance to talk about it. It was from Hacker News, how one bad password ended a 158-year-old business. So I just thought that was interesting because 158 years, that means it was close to 200 years old business. And how did a bad password make them cease to exist? Let's see what the article says. Most businesses don't make it past their 5th birthday. Study shows that roughly 50% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years. So when KNP Logistics Group, formerly Knights of Old, celebrated more than a century and a half of operations, it had mastered the art of survival. For 158 years, KNP adapted and endured, building a transport business that operated 500 trucks across the UK. But in June 2025, one easily guessed password brought down the company in a matter of days. The Northamptonshire-based firm fell victim to the Akira ransomware group after hackers gained access by guessing the employee's weak password. Attackers didn't need a sophisticated phishing campaign or a zero-day exploit. All they needed was a password, so simple that cyber criminals could guess it correctly. That's crazy. And every time this happens, I wonder what type of defense mechanisms that they had or password policy and how many times they had to change it and all those other things that are vital for your company to survive. When basic security fails, everything falls. No matter what advanced security mechanisms your organization has in place, everything falls if basic security measures fail. In the KNP attack, Akira targeted a company's internet-facing systems, found the employee credential without multi-factor authentication, and guessed the password. Once inside, they deployed their ransomware payload across the company's entire digital infrastructure. It's always like that. And this is where GRC comes in, audits, hey, all these passwords, this one does not have MFA on it. Who owns this password? Should it even be, what it has access to, should it even still be here? Can it be disabled? So, and I say that too because we recently did like an exercise on my team where we had to work through a situation like this of seeing somebody getting compromised and ransomware getting pushed into their environment and people maintaining persistence and using tools like PS exec to start doing things on the network. But the hackers didn't stop at encrypting critical business data. They also destroyed KMP's backup and disaster recovery systems, ensuring that the company had no path to recover without paying their ransom. The criminals demanded an estimated £5 million, money the transport company didn't have. KMP had industry standard IT compliance and cyber attack insurance, but none of these protections were enough to keep the organization going. Operations came to a standstill. Every truck was sidelined. All business data remained locked away. The cyber crisis team, brought in by insurers, described it as the worst case scenario for any organization. Within weeks, KMP entered administration and 700 employees lost their jobs. That sucks, man. That sucks because you as the worker are doing what you're supposed to do. The people that oversee and advise are not. The password problem persists. KMP's story illustrates a weakness that continues to plague organizations across the globe. Research from Kaspersky analyzing 193 million compromised passwords found that 45% could be cracked by hackers within a minute. And when attackers can simply guess or quickly crack credentials, even the most established businesses become vulnerable. Individual security lapses can have organizations-wide consequences that extend far beyond the person who chose password 123 or left their birthday as their login credential. Interested to know how many weak passwords are currently being used in your Active Directory? Run a free read-only scan with SpecOps Password Auditor. So it goes in and talk about beyond financial damage, and we know with breaches, it's definitely got reputation and real-world ramifications. And I want to talk about this one too, because the UK has been getting hammered over the last couple of weeks with these attacks. KMP joins an estimated 19,000 UK businesses that suffered ransomware attacks last year, according to government surveys. High-profile victims have included major retailers like M&S, Co-op, and Harrods, demonstrating that no organization is too large or established to be targeted. It's only getting easier. Criminal gangs have lowered the barrier to entry by offering ransomware as a service platforms and social engineering tactics that don't require advanced technical skills. Attackers now routinely call IT help desk to trick their way into corporate systems, exploiting human psychology rather than software vulnerabilities. Industry research suggests that the typical UK ransom demanded reaches approximately £4 million, with about 1/3 of companies choosing to pay rather than risk total business loss. But payment does not guarantee data recovery or prevent future attacks. It simply funds criminal operations that target organizations. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that was true. The fact that if you pay the money, it don't mean they're going to guarantee to give you what you're looking for. So your best bet is to, in worst case scenario, if you guys get breached, conditional access. More robust multi-factor authentication controls with whatever MFA solution that you use. Try to go passwordless. Anything that can minimize people reusing the same passwords over and over again and making them complex enough and making them have to switch the passwords out enough to do that. And have actual privileged accounts. Making sure that regular local accounts cannot get like admin access and then start doing stuff on the computer. You see that a lot. So I don't know, man. That sucks that they were almost like 160 years old, and now they are pretty much don't exist anymore. And I had two funny ones. It was this one's pretty funny. I'll just let you guys listen to it. Let me find it.
When a man says he works in tech, you really got to do further diligence, because are you a software engineer or a help desk engineer? Two very different jobs, two very different salary brackets.
I feel like that was facts. It's a little shade. Like help desk is always the better in the jokes. I do know some help desk people that's getting six figures though. So I just say, although it's funny, I was like, look, some people are getting paid in that. Now, coming on to this last one I want to talk about is a young lady was talking about the dilemma she feels like she's in because she works in AI as a Black woman and knows how AI pretty much can be detrimental to us. I have not watched the whole video, but I favored it a while back because I was like, I'm going to come back to this. So let's see what she says.
Okay, if I can be honest for a second, sometimes I feel like a sellout as a Black woman who is working in AI, knowing all of the negative implications of AI and this technology. And so I recently wrote a Substack article about the moral dilemma that you go through as a Black woman working in these spaces. And it especially hit home because we've all heard about the super centers and the data centers that power AI that are built in cities like Memphis and how it's impacting the air and the environment around them. But it hit close to home recently because Landover Mall is a mall that's literally down the street from my middle school. And so it's in PG County where I grew up. And they're thinking of turning that into a data center to power AI. Landover Mall is in a pretty, Black neighborhood. It's lower income, and it feels as if they're placing this in an area where they see people as dispensable. And it's a trend that I'm scared is going to continue to foster. Yet, on the same token, I am here in SF working in AI and kind of almost complicit in the negative implications of this technology. So I explored that. I wrote a personal essay on it. I linked it in my bio if you're interested and curious, but it's just a very weird time. And if you're in AI or in a tech space like this and you have similar experiences, would love to also learn if you feel this moral dilemma, or if I'm just solo dolo out here, child.
Now, I kind of don't agree with her on that because if you're putting it in an area where Black people are, that does give them a chance to learn about AI and get jobs. Now, the thing I think about is the bad use cases they can do for AI. And right now, we're seeing it right now. If you've been on Twitter, Jake Paul and Tank have an exhibition match coming up, and they've been making fake AI videos of them kissing. So that's the type of stuff that I think about, like people using AI to do negative things or defame your character or cause mass destruction. But all in all, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll be coming back. Like I said, tell me how y'all like this background. I love it. Y'all gonna be seeing more of it. And yeah, man, I appreciate everything that y'all do. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me and tuning in with me. And like I always say, until next time, let's stay textual and we out. Peace.